Hey, BraveCo man, I want to tell you about a project that we just finished. It's our Foundations of Masculinity 12 video series that will really help you grow stronger, more confident as a man. Whole bunch of guys are wondering, man, how do I deal with my pain? How do I learn healthy boundaries? How do I lead myself, my family well? How do I become a leader? This course is for you. If you're interested in growing, take 12 weeks out of your life, dig in, do it with a friend, and really up your game. Guys, you can purchase this at braveco.org. Have an incredible day. We live in a time where masculinity is shamed and men don't know what it means to be a man. As a pastor and counselor, I've spent the better part of my life equipping and training others. My goal with this show is to translate my hard-earned experience into tools and tactics to help you become stronger as a man. This is the BraveCo podcast. I'm your host, Jason Vallotton. Well, Allie, I'm so stoked to have you on the BraveCo podcast this week. For those of you that don't know, Allie is my daughter-in-law.
Yes.
Now, a whole bunch of guys just pulled over, crashed their cars because they're wondering how old am I and how old are you? How can you be my daughter-in-law?
How's it possible? When I tell people my brother-in-law is 4 months old, they're like, wait, your brother-in-law? It's a little funny.
Yeah, my son, Liam, is 4 months old.
Right.
So guys, I mean, you guys know my story. I started having kids when I was 12 years old.
It's not even possible. I can't.
It's not. My oldest son, I was 19 when I had Elijah.
Yeah.
So I'm not that much older than him.
Right.
And you're what, 4 years older than him?
And I'm 4 years older than Elijah.
So it just fell into,
So
you got married, Elijah got married really young.
Yes.
And you got married really old.
Yeah, I was so old. I was 25. I was ancient.
No.
In the Vallotton world a little bit.
Yeah, you waited.
Yeah.
No, we could trust her. She waited.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, today we're going to talk all about dating and all about relationships and how to build trust in a relationship.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that you and I are both passionate about.
Yeah.
And so, man, I don't know who better to talk about this with than you.
Oh, that's really sweet. I'm
and
excited.
Everyone has already seen the Q&A as well. If you guys haven't seen the Q&A that Allie and I did together for the School of Emotional Health, that's like podcast, I don't know what podcast number it is, but it's already aired.
Yeah.
So they should have seen it.
Right. Which was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we're going to do this. You're going to kind of carry the conversation. You're going to ask the questions.
I have some juicy questions for you.
We'll go back and forth. It's going to be awesome.
You're quite the dating expert. I have to say, people are always like, well, you did Jason Vallotton's son. Like, it had to have gone well. I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
No.
Obviously. No. I'm excited. Yeah, I have some questions.
Yeah.
You ready to jump into this?
No, let's do it. And here's the thing. I think that dating, so many people don't know how to date.
It's true.
Nowadays. Because
So true.
culture is teaching stupid lessons
It's so true.
on dating.
Yeah.
Like we have the hookup culture.
Mm-hmm.
We have like guys that are just so passive. We have guys that are overly aggressive that are just like, what a woman wants is for a guy to come in and just dominate. So most guys don't know how to date. Most girls don't know how to date.
It's true.
So there's tons of confusion. That's why I love this conversation.
Right. But you feel like you're supposed to know. Like you're like, somehow my parents got married and their parents got married and everyone somehow eventually came together. So it should be innate. But that wasn't my experience. I didn't feel that way.
No, and unless you really get taught how to do it,
It's messy.
God, you're just kind of an idiot.
You're just like, I hope I'm doing this right.
Yeah.
With my own heart and somebody else's heart. That's some valuable items to be messing around with.
Yeah. And music, like, again, culture's just done such a horrible job of talking about how to pursue a woman or a man, what it looks like to be in a relationship, what a healthy relationship is. So anyways,
let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. I feel like first things first, probably a lot of people with that kind of same idea of, well, I should just know how to date, yet I haven't been taught how to date. Maybe you could give some insight into how you know you're ready to date in the first place.
Yeah. I love to ask people, like, where did you learn how to date? Who taught you?
Yeah.
Was it Uncle Rico? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
he's just wearing that baller chain, and he's got this crazy story about he's still living his past. You know, that's like,
Right.
and I think a lot of people were taught how to date. Again, like we said, culture, their parents. But mostly it's like friends, right? A lot of people learned in high school
Right.
or in junior high. And so they weren't really taught well.
Yeah.
But how you know you're ready to date? Okay, to me, this is all about, are you ready to leave someone better off than when you started?
It's really good.
Yeah. And you have to answer that question because most people get into a relationship and they're worried about it not working out. But if you think about it, dating, you don't date so that you can have a relationship that lasts forever.
Right.
Most relationships aren't supposed to last forever. Dating relationships, you're only going to find one
Right.
that lasts forever.
Right.
So you have to be able to go into these relationships and navigate them and find out, is this someone I really want to be with? And am I someone that she really wants to be with, or that he really wants to be with?
Yeah.
And if you can't leave people off better than where they started, regardless of what happens, the chances that you really find the person that you want to be with is super slim.
Yeah.
Because you get wounded in all these different relationships. And every time it ends in so much pain that you don't want to do it again.
Right.
So if you learn how to have healthy relationships, how to restrain your drive and your emotions and just to do whatever you want to do, then you end up with these really healthy, right? Helpful relationships. They don't end in disaster, but maybe they end. It's not that there's no pain when they end, but it's not disastrous and overwhelming.
Right.
Then you can do this a couple times and have some really great relationships and be able to go like, oh, I'm learning each time.
Totally.
And I'm able to leave them better off.
Right. Yeah. And two, I think often we see people end up in relationships where they feel like they're getting that need met in the first place. I don't know if this is your quote, but I've heard Elijah say it.
It's probably mine.
Yeah. Where he said, I had to get really good at dating myself.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is so key before you
Yeah.
can step into any sort of dating relationship. How are you in yourself and you doing in your own dating yourself relationship and journey?
Yeah.
Do you love yourself?
Yeah.
You have your own internal world you're needing to deal with so that you
Yeah.
can leave somebody better off than you found them, right?
It's so true. And that's really the journey, right? So that would be the next question. Like, are you ready to leave somebody else? But do you know you?
Right.
And it's always like this tension, right? Because does anyone really fully know themselves all the way?
We're always growing.
Yeah, like I'm always learning. But that also can be a cop-out, right? Like you could have all this baggage and you could feel out of control and then be like, well, no one really knows themselves.
Right.
So what's it really matter?
Right.
But the truth is you have to have confidence. So that's the key to me, right? Is like I have confidence that I can communicate well, that I know how to ask for help, that I can manage my emotions, right? My emotions don't manage me.
Right.
That I can set a boundary, that I can identify the needs in my life,
Right.
my triggers in my life.
Yeah.
And so dating yourself, when you think about dating yourself, it'll help regardless of if you're in a relationship, it will help you understand you and navigate your life so much better. Because now I understand my strengths, my weaknesses, my cycles, my triggers,
Right.
my goals for life, my setbacks, my story,
Right.
where I came from, where I'm going.
Right.
Like imagine if every guy was able to go, this is it. This is me
Yeah.
in a nutshell. Like it, don't like it. Like this is me.
Right. Game changer.
Game changer.
Yeah. Becoming super self-aware even is kind of what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Being able to determine, oh, what are the areas that I do have growth
Yeah.
that I can share with somebody?
Because people ask all the time, like they say, do I have to have everything together in order to be in a relationship?
Right. Truthfully, that's what I thought. I thought I absolutely have to be the most perfect person on the face of the planet for anyone to ever love me.
Yeah.
Which is just like, that's impossible.
So impossible.
It's so impossible. Yeah.
No, what you want to be is you want to be aware of the things that you don't do well.
Yep.
The things that trip you up, the things that make you act out, the thing, you know, make you want to act out, the things that you want to be aware of how you function, so that, because you're probably not going to get rid of all the things, all your triggers, all of your, you know, flaws, you're not.
No.
So it's going to be this process, right, of being like, oh, this morning I feel super insecure, but I know it.
Yep.
But I know I feel insecure. And oh man, I just get so triggered when, you know, when another guy comes around. Like, I probably should know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Because if you don't, then that's where we make mistakes.
Totally. And I feel like even just thinking back to my past and even with friends is really being able to practice those things even within friendships. Like friendships, obviously this is men we're talking to, like friendships with your guys, friendship with your girls, where you're able to just communicate these things clearly, like you're saying, knowing your boundaries and knowing how to communicate how you're feeling. Like those are such keys that you can practice in other relationships than, oh, I'm practicing in dating. You don't have to practice everything in dating to get good at dating.
No, I honestly, it's probably the worst place to practice most things.
Totally. It feels high stakes.
Yeah, it's kind of like practicing dribbling when you're in the championship game.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm going to practice my basketball skills in this championship game. Like, no, you're going to practice being a leader.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to practice playing hard games.
Yeah.
When you're in a hard game. But all of I'm able to communicate my needs. I'm able to communicate a boundary. I'm able to manage my emotions. I am aware of, again, my life story, the highs, the lows, the things that drive me, my confidence. I need to be bringing to a relationship. Like I need to be able to show up to a relationship and be able to present. Yeah. Like, this is kind of who I am.
Right.
Because it's already such a steep learning curve.
Totally. Huge.
You get into a relationship and you're just like a little bit nervous, a little bit afraid, a little bit flooded with emotions, endorphins, you know, and it's hard to think. Yeah. It's hard to do life. Right. You're like, oh my gosh, I've never met a human being in my whole entire life like you.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just because we just started dating. No. Like you are,
and you have no faults.
Yeah,
you're not a single one.
God's gift to creation. I found it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't have a really good grip on your life, man, it's only a short matter. Like you only get that short, like honeymoon dating period before it ends in disaster.
Right. So for the guy and the girl that has kind of begun dating somebody, how soon or when should you define the relationship? Yeah. And should the guy lead this part? I always am so curious, like, should the guy lead each step of the relationship, or is it okay if the girl brings up these conversations as well?
Yeah.
I guess it's two parts.
No, that's great. Ideally, a guy would lead the relationship. And here's why. Is because a woman should have the privilege of being led through, not because she's weaker, but because I want to give her the respect of being able to go, I don't think I'm as far along as you. I don't want you to be more vulnerable than me. I don't want you to be in a more vulnerable spot than me. And I'm going to protect the women in my life like that my whole entire life. So when Lauren and I, my now wife, were dating, it was my job to go, hey, this is where I'm at. Where are you at? I'm putting myself out there first, right?
Yep.
It's a vulnerable spot to be, but I'm a guy. And so it gives her a chance to go, okay, I see your cards. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And same thing with, all through our relationship, it's like opening the door. I'm going to be the first one that gets to the door, and I'm going to be the first one that opens it so that you could go through. Is it that you can't open a door? No, you totally can. But I'm giving you the respect. I'm giving you the courtesy. I'm giving you the honor of not having to be as vulnerable as me.
Right.
Which, guys, one of our main role is to protect. And so how you date, see, most people think that trust in marriage starts when you get married.
Right.
It doesn't.
So far from
secret.
that.
Hey, guys, here's the secret. Trust in marriage starts the very first time you connect with that girl. From the very first date on. By the time you get married, you already have a foundation of trust, whether it sucks or whether it's awesome. Right. You've already told her and she's already told him, this is what you can expect of me. Well, how awesome is it if a guy sees his responsibility is to create a safe enough place that a woman wants to share. Create a safe enough place that she wants to come fully alive, that you're supposed to draw that out of her.
Right.
Pretty awesome. Okay.
Totally.
So defining the relationship, I think, is something that doesn't happen often enough.
Really?
Yeah. And here's why. Like, we're not in 6th grade.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like in 6th grade, both people they're like too scared to be mature about like that. I kind of like you and you kind of like me.
Right.
She's like still kicking his shins.
Right.
And he's showing off in front of her, you know?
Totally.
Pretending like he doesn't like her, but he's totally likes her.
Yeah.
Saying stupid stuff. So I think, you hit 20, 22, 25. I just like the idea that we're intentional.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. Organic relationships, everyone likes the idea of an organic relationship. Like, hey, I met this girl last week and I don't know, we just had a great week.
Yeah,
like,
we really hit it off.
Kind of ended up like, I don't know, did you kiss her? Well, yeah, I kissed her. Oh, that's awesome. Like, are you guys dating? Well, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you don't know if you're dating?
Yeah.
How do you get that much access to a woman without permission?
Yeah.
Without going, hey,
Totally.
take a look at my life.
Yep.
Take a look at my intentions.
Right.
This is what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah. And it provides security. Like so much. I just feel like as a girl, you're constantly curious. Can this person, like you said, one of your main purposes is to be a protector.
Yeah.
And this is one of the key ways that you see that. Are they able to provide security? Is it safe? Do I feel safe here? Can I trust that they're going to call me tomorrow after tonight? Like, all those things are going through the back of your mind as you're on your date with this guy.
Yeah. What's more sexy? A guy that's going, hey, I want to just share with you where I'm at so that I don't catch you off guard, but also want you to know just my intention and go at a pace that works for you and for me.
Right.
Or a guy that did a few cool moves, brought you some flowers, paid for dinner, and then is just randomly all of a sudden like, hey, got my arm around you, girl.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Like in the moment you're like,
might be fun.
oh, I could get into that groove.
Yeah. But a lot of anxiety the next day.
Holy cow. So that's the problem, right? Is these relationships, when guys and girls are like, no, I like the organic way.
I know people say that. I feel
their
like
relationships don't last though.
Right. Right.
It's instant gratification versus long-term success.
Right. I think what's so powerful is even what you said, like that you're building trust from the get-go. I think sometimes people are wondering, well, like, why do I need to be intentional or why do I need to be upfront? Is it just to be clear? Like, what if she's not on the same page? But it's that same thing. You're doing something that's a foundation for the potential rest of your life if it leads to that.
Here's how it plays out. I have the ability to lead this relationship at a pace that works for you and for me.
Right.
We get married. I have the ability to lead our family at a pace that works for you and for me.
Right.
I have the ability to lead our finances. I have the ability to lead, right? So I have control over, which is one of the fruits of the Spirit, right?
Yeah.
Is self-control and the ability to, like, I can go slower or I can go a little bit faster. But clear communication and like some reining in over your emotions, what it actually does is it allows the woman and the man to really open up in an incredible way because you know what to expect.
Totally.
So the opposite actually happens. At first, the organic couple is having way better makeout sessions. They're like exploding in fun and euphoria. But by the time they get in deep into the relationship, because it's so much chaos, it has fear woven into it, has insecurity woven into it, because I don't really know where we're at and what's really happening. That insecurity begins to poison the intimacy.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about the intimacy ladder in a little bit, but basically the intimacy ladder says the more trust I have with you, the more intimacy I could build.
Yep.
But when your intimacy goes beyond your level of trust, now you have anxiety every time because I'm overextended.
Right. I think too, I'm just thinking back to even when Elijah and I first started to date. And I remember I actually was the one that had the conversation with him first, which was kind of like, vowed I would never, ever do that. Right. It feels like counterintuitive as a woman. But I was like, I'm going to tell him how I feel. We had been friends for a long time. And I remember in that conversation, I left that conversation knowing where he was at, but also that there was a timeline. So I didn't leave and go, oh my gosh, surely I'm going to hear from him. If I don't hear from him tomorrow, then what the heck? I've just put my heart on the line. I've put everything out there. And it was very clear, like, I don't feel capable of pursuing you right now in this very moment, but I want to. And this is my timeline for being able to do that. And I would say it put fear and anxiety to the wayside. But that was something that progressed throughout the whole entire relationship until it was, oh, there's actually trust here. We're actually forming a relationship. Now we're actually dating. And I would say with each step, Elijah was so clear about his intention. Yeah. And I remember wondering, because that's not the experience I had ever had before. So I remember wondering, like, is he just going to try to hold my hand? Is he just going to try to kiss me? And I remember having the conversation. He was like, I'm not going to until we have a conversation about why we're even physically
intimate. It takes so much stress off, right?
Oh,
because now you can be open and free. You're not guarded all the time.
No, and I'm not just like wondering, is he about to just do something that I don't even know about, that I don't know how I feel about? Yeah.
It's magic.
It's magic.
Guys, this is when a man is able to lead like this, it's a superpower.
It is.
And so anyways, getting rid of that organic. Now, one of the questions you asked is, can a woman DTR? Absolutely. She for sure can. She can go, hey, I want to make sure that what I'm picking up is accurate.
Right.
You know, so Lauren could easily go, hey, Jay, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, or that I really understand where you're at.
Yeah.
What does this relationship mean to you?
Yeah.
Like she could ask me a question, right? So that she's not just putting herself out there first or even way too far, but she could ask a couple of questions. I could then get to share it and realize, oh, she's needing some clarity, because we're also not mind readers, right?
No.
Guys aren't mind readers. And so, you know, you can't expect that we're going to get everything right.
Right.
But when I first took Lauren on a date, we had been hanging out as friends for a while.
Yeah.
And I finally called her up one night and was like, hey, I'd love to take you out. And she was like, oh, yeah, no, I'd like that. I was like, cool. Okay. She said, when? I said, I don't know, maybe tonight. I'm just like, once I make my mind up,
right.
I'm kind of like that. Like once I make my mind up, I don't know, tonight is probably 5:00. Yeah. She goes, oh gosh, I was going to go over to some friend's house and watch the Olympics. I was like, oh, cool. No worries. She was like, but no, I'd like to go on a walk. Yeah. Oh yeah, you would.
Yeah. That's what you're thinking.
That's what I was hoping. Right. So then we went on a walk together, and she had her hot coffee and I had hot water, because you don't
drink coffee.
I didn't drink coffee and I didn't drink tea back then. Right. So I just had my hot water, and it was cold out. Yeah. So we went for this walk, and probably like an hour into it, I just said, hey, is it okay if I just share where I'm at? She was like, yeah, no problem. I said, I'd like to pursue you. I would. And she goes, oh, gosh, what does that mean? I was like, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. I just love to be able to take you out on dates. and be more intentional about getting to know you.
Right.
Not hold your hand, but be able to take you out on a few dates.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, like I had 3 kids. I was divorced. I'm not like the perfect candidate to take a woman out from Charleston, good home. She's 24 years old. I'm 29. Like she wasn't thinking what I want is a ready-made package deal.
Right.
No.
Right.
She wanted stability. Right. She wanted a guy that she could trust. And so again, for me, like my secret sauce in getting Lauren to really figure out, is this a relationship I want to be in, was by being super intentional. Mm-hmm. And she literally said yes because she couldn't think of a reason to say no.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember a week into it, I was always further along than she was. I'm like out here and I know that I am, right? Like I'm way out here and she's back here. So I'm constantly having to like rein myself back. So week 1, I was like, hey, no pressure. We went for a walk, no pressure. I just want to know where you're at. I feel like I'm at a place where I'm ready to hold your hand. Yeah. Is that where you're at? And she was like, no. Which you want no's.
Yeah.
Right? You want the honest truth because, again, my goal is to build trust. Mm-hmm. My goal isn't to get what I want.
Yeah.
My goal is to build trust.
Right.
So it hurt a little bit. I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
But to her, I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. Like, that's no problem at all. And I just kept in my mind, like, okay, she's not where I'm at.
Yeah.
Let's keep consistent. Mm-hmm. A week later, I revisited the conversation because I felt like she had moved.
Okay.
And she was like, yeah, I'm at a place where I'd hold your hand. So guys, don't be dorky, right? I didn't just hold her hand right there. I waited.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like I put on a good Disney soundtrack, got a slushie, took her roller skating. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, oh my word.
No, I didn't.
She's like, marry me now.
Yeah.
That slushie really won me over.
That's Celine Dion in the background.
I can't. Yeah, that's powerful. One thing, I don't actually know this, but when you were dating Lauren, when you guys held hands or kissed for the first time, did you give meaning behind each like intimate, like physically intimate thing you did?
I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean,
did I give meaning? And here's what this means.
No, I wondered if Elijah picked that from you because
probably.
Because when he like held my hand, he like told me why he was holding my hand. Like, this is why I want to. This is what it means to me. Are you at the same place?
Yeah. Like,
kind of probably in tandem with this intimacy ladder. Like, this is at this level. This is what this means to me.
Yeah. So, for instance, we held hands, and I'm like, this means that you're my girlfriend. That was kind of the like, hold my hand when you're ready to say like, that's my guy.
Okay.
Whatever you want to call it when you're 30,
right.
You know, I'm 29 years old dating, like whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But we didn't kiss until we were ready to say to each other, like, I love you. And I love you means I'm going to marry you unless something disastrous happened.
Wow.
Like I'm able to commit at that level.
Wow.
So we dated for a while before we ever kissed, which was the best thing that ever happened, because you keep these high level emotions out of your relationship and you're able to still have an emotional connection, right? I'm still hugging, I'm still holding hands, we're still watching movies late at night. You know what I mean? Like I'm still stoked.
Right.
But I don't have all the confusion of making out and how far am I going and is this too much? Like I don't.
Right.
So I have, do I really know you? Do I understand your story?
It's powerful.
Do we have the same core? Like I'm able to go through that intimacy ladder.
Yeah.
Ask the questions I really need to ask before I give you this much of me.
Yeah. It's so good.
I'm such a good kisser. Once I kissed her, there's no way that she could say no. Do you know what I mean? So I had to just kind of put that barrier.
Yeah. What are some of those questions you asked yourself
before kissing her?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready to start the intimacy ladder?
Let's do it. We're going to dive into it.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, before we kind of go all the way into like when you're dating someone, the intimacy ladder again is to help you answer questions that help you decide, do I need to move further into this relationship? Do we need to stay right here on this rung? Or do I need to back down?
That's good.
So the more you climb, the further into intimacy you go.
Yeah.
And at the top of the ladder is I do.
Oh boy.
It's forever.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, right? Like you get on this ladder and you're starting to climb, you get to certain steps and you're like, not sure. We're going to have to stay here a while.
Yeah.
We're going to figure this out. So first question number 1, do I know me? Right.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Do I know me? And here's some of the indicators that you're not ready. I have to have a woman.
Oh boy.
Or she has to have a man.
Right. And that is a scare. I will say on either side, really. But have you ever been in one of those relationships where you can feel the intensity?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my goodness, back down a second. I can't breathe.
Yeah. Or she just went from him to him to him to him. Dang.
That's
Chances are she's looking for a codependent partner.
Yeah.
Or he's looking for a codependent partner. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like when you have to have someone in order to be okay, game over.
Right.
You can't do it.
Right.
Stop. So that's what I'm looking for before I even
Pursue
date a girl.
Yeah.
I'm going, when was the last relationship she was in? When was the one before that? How does she handle her friends?
A bit of investigating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does her mom look like?
Stop. I can't with that one.
Yeah, no, I did for
No.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
Elijah likes
You
to
can
say
tell
that
a lot
too.
of things by their mom. He can. Guys, it's okay. It's okay.
No.
Yeah, it is. It's fine.
I cannot.
Yeah. Next question to me is, are they safe? And this is a longer, like you're going to have to stay here for a while, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I find out, people aren't safe because they just gossip about other people.
Yeah. You're like, when am I going to
Bad
be that
boundaries.
person? Yep.
Bad boundaries, right?
Totally.
They overshare too quickly.
Yeah.
You're like, why do I keep feeling like
feel
you
overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm standing here fully dressed and you're getting naked. Like
Right.
that feels dangerous.
And I don't know if I can handle that. Yeah.
Emotionally, like you're driving, he's continually driving. Like he's trying to get me to say things, do things that are like, I'm feeling pulled into this,
Right.
not invited.
Well, and when people do that, I feel like I've had that experience where you walk away and you're wondering like, other people have shared that kind of information with me and it hasn't overwhelmed me. But when you shared that you're addicted to this or you have a problem with this, I cannot handle it.
Yeah.
And I'm walking away feeling heavy and burdened and
You
we're
ever
just not
talk
there.
to somebody that like the first time you talk with them, you're like, that person's one of the safest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
They're not needy. They're not pushy, but they're genuine.
Yeah.
They have good answers for what they're
Right.
talking about. They ask good questions, right? They and that's a lot of it. Like, is this person asking about you?
Yeah.
And then are they listening?
Right.
Are they sharing these outlandish stories that's like, I don't know if that's real. Do you know what I mean?
No, totally.
So that's part of this person's genuine.
Yeah.
So are they safe? Are they genuine? That's the next one. And again, like if they are, okay, I'm willing to do something else with them. Next question, are they fun?
Are they fun?
Yeah. And to me, can I be me around them?
Yeah.
Can I express myself and really enjoy myself?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be with someone that I can't be around, where there's either pressure to be something that I'm not, or they don't draw that side out in me. So if we do several dates and I'm like, I just haven't had fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fish in the sea.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
that's one that I'm going to move on,
Totally.
move off of
Right.
and just keep going.
Right.
Step 4, do our core values line up? Okay. Now we're starting to get a little political, you know,
Right.
like we're starting to get a little bit into church.
Totally.
We're starting to really share what's going on
Right.
inside
the
of
things
us.
you might not just broadcast to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, you know, things you can't read on the bio of your Instagram page.
Totally.
Getting a little bit under the hood with your clothes still on. I gotta be careful what I say here. The guys are all excited.
They're
like,
"Whoa, step 4,
four,
okay,
I can get under the hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Here's again the danger, right? This is typically what people do. They get step 1, step 2, Step 3, like, this girl's fun. She's fun. She feels
She's a good
safe.
time.
I can be myself around her.
Yeah.
Am I going to marry her? Am I going to marry her?
Right.
Here's the problem with that question.
Big question for step 3. You got a few more steps to go.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
not evil to have that thought.
Right.
It's evil to pursue that thought. And here's why I say evil is because you don't have enough information. You don't have enough good information to honestly answer that question. So what will happen is you'll get super insecure because you don't have all the information.
Yeah. And you feel like you have to know right now.
Yeah. Imagine you walk onto a car lot.
Yeah.
They pull all the name brands off the back of a car. So you don't know any brands. And you're just looking at this car and you're like, it's got great paint. It's only got 50,000 miles on it. Start it up. It sounds good. I'll buy it. You're like, wait, hold on. You don't know the car's history.
Right.
And you could. Like, you could know it.
Right.
Imagine if you could only buy one car one time in your whole life.
You'd be doing some double checks for sure.
You hope you wouldn't go like, wow, that's great paint. I mean, great paint. Interior looks good.
Right.
Starts up. It's only
Sounds
got 50,000 miles.
Right.
But
Goodness.
shouldn't I test drive it? And shouldn't I look under the hood? And shouldn't I look at the history?
Right. Has it ever been in an accident?
Yeah. Has this car been hot
Right.
rodded?
Right.
Did it live by the ocean?
Totally.
So, but this is what we do with dating. We go like, oh my gosh,
So fun.
this guy's got money.
Oh, yeah.
This guy knows how to carry on a conversation.
Right.
I feel a little bit safe with him. He's kind of fun. Man, what would Allie Vallotton sound like?
Oh.
You know, first thing, you're writing your
Totally.
last name after your first
yeah.
name. Too quick.
Yeah. I have a question, though, for this. When you said it's not bad to have that thought, but when does that, well, I guess I have 2 parts, but when does that thought become evil? I guess you're kind of sharing that a little bit, but is it wrong to be imagining those things in the first place when you're first dating somebody? Like,
You shouldn't date someone, you know, you shouldn't be dating if you're not serious.
okay,
That's going to be really controversial, right? People are like, wait, what? And you're like, it's
if you're not like thinking about this could lead to
Yeah.
the future.
because think about it. Like, to me, dating isn't for fun. That's what friendships are for.
Yep.
Dating is to narrow down who you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah.
And the more times you date for fun, that you just date to date, the problem is that you're putting yourself in constant situations where you're breaking up with somebody. You're going to induce a whole bunch of breakups, I've never met a married couple that was like, I'm so glad he dated 52 girls.
Oh, are you kidding? No.
No, why? Because you build bonds with all those different people.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't actually help out your future to date tons and tons and tons of people. I like a girl who's just dating around for fun. You're like, not really.
Yeah.
Not really. So my own personal value is, you know, date because you're serious. And it doesn't mean that you have to be ready to be married that year. It's probably a bad plan.
Right.
But you're in the season where you're starting to look for a mate, someone that you could do life with, someone that you might have
Partner.
kids with. Yeah, a partner in the next 2-3 years.
Right.
So to me, trying to remember your question.
I asked, like, is that thought innately bad in general?
yeah.
Like, just in
You
general.
can't help that thought.
Right.
Like, is this the right girl? Would he be the right guy? You just have to tell yourself, I need more information.
That's good.
I need more information.
Yeah, I can't know that answer.
No, because when you try to narrow it down, you're like, don't have enough information, have anxiety. So again, you can buy one car your whole entire life. You only get X amount of dollars. And you're like, is this the car I'm going to buy? I want to do a bunch of checking.
Yeah.
Because all around you, you're looking at your friends who bought the car and who are bummed.
Oh, gosh.
That engine blew up, spent 10 years in this thing. You know, the wheels fell off over here. So when I look around society, I'm like, relationships aren't easy, folks.
Yeah.
And people's sex life and marriage typically isn't awesome. And raising kids is not easy. So you want to have an awesome sex life, want to have great kids, want to have a fantastic marriage, go step by step.
Really good.
Go slow.
Yeah.
Okay. Step 4, do our values line up?
Yeah.
And this to me is massive, right? Because relationships are so complicated that when you start to get into a relationship where you're unequally yoked, this will be like what the Bible's talking about. It's not necessarily talking about like, you know more scripture than I know.
Right.
Okay. Like our value systems aren't lining up. So you don't have a value for God the way that I do. Even as simple, okay, this may sound so dumb, but Democrat, Republican.
Yeah.
It gets like, man, super hard.
Right.
I see marriages like suffer so much because of those kinds of differences.
Right. Well, there are kind of a lot of key ways you make decisions for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Are based off of whatever that belief is that you have.
Yeah, it's true. And so what does marriage mean to you? What does marriage mean to me? It's that kind of like, what type of life are you wanting to live? What type of life am I wanting to live? When your core values don't line up, it's tough. So, you're going to have this is where you're starting to have some mature conversations about what's important to you and, what does God mean to you? And what does it look like for you to do life in relationship? Who do you do life with? Right? Those are some value systems. And who are your longest standing relationships? If they don't have any long-term relationships.
Indicator. Yeah, totally.
Can they? That's the question I'm asking. Can they?
Right.
You'd rather be single than wish you were single.
Oh my goodness. Totally.
So when you're asking these questions, you're going like, man, if she hasn't been able to carry on long-term relationships, then I want to know why. I'm going to ask some hard questions here.
Yeah.
So
it's a key indicator. I feel like that. I remember my mom always telling me, like, does he have childhood friends? Is he still in touch with them?
Yeah.
How does he treat his family?
Yeah.
The people that he's known his whole entire life. How does he treat them? Like key things that you're investigating in this season.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's where if you have a chance to watch him interact with his mom and dad, because that's how he'll treat you. Right? The same thing he does at home, he'll do
eventually.
He'll do.
Yeah, totally.
Or she.
Yeah, vice versa.
She'll do that with you. And without a doubt, so science proves that, right? When we get under stress in a marriage, we resort back to our home lives.
Yep.
Individually. Right. So I want to know what that was.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
Before I partner with that. Okay. Step 5. Is God in the God spot? Is he in the God? So God is your source for identity, direction, protection, comfort, unconditional love, healing, mercy. He's your source for it.
Right.
So is God in their God spot? That's a hard question to ask. You're going to have to stay here for a little while to find out. When they're insecure, what do they do?
Yeah.
When they're feeling, do they have purpose in their life? Do they have direction in their life?
Right.
Where do they go for comfort? So this is where you start to get into like pornography. This is where you start to get into gambling, drinking, coping. Yeah. Do they know how to manage themselves? Which begs the question, like, what do we do if you're in a relationship with somebody and you find out,
I was going to say their past. They got all sorts of stuff in their past.
Yeah.
Totally. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah.
I feel like I interrupted you.
No, it's great.
Yeah. I feel like that's huge. I feel like you're kind of on the edge of your seat sometimes when you're dating somebody, like, and when are they going to open up about the things of the past? And I would say I feel like you were saying this earlier, but is the past their past is a huge one. But I would even ask, well, what if their past scares me? What if their past is the past, but it still is, man, they've been through some stuff.
Yeah. How do they know that it's their past?
Right.
That's the question.
And I think even, because Elijah and I obviously had to have these conversations. Okay, well,
because of your crooked past.
Because we have very messed up pasts. Just kidding. Well, I mean, we all have stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's true.
The most perfect person has things they
as you point to yourself.
I was like, the most perfectest person. No, but I mean, there were things I was definitely scared to tell Elijah about, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I was actually, because I think I said this earlier, I had this thought that in order to date somebody, I had to be the most perfect person ever, when that wasn't the case. It was like the most freeing reality when I realized, I'm telling you these things, obviously within reason, and you still want to pursue me? Oh. But I remember having to share things with Elijah, and actually the question wasn't like, oh, can I handle that? It was more so, well, what if that comes up? What's your plan? Like, what's your plan? And can I trust that when something from the past comes up, that you do handle it well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So your past is a weapon.
Tell us more.
It shouldn't be something that you hide.
It's good.
It should be something that you use.
Yeah.
Right? As a tool to get people breakthrough, to glorify God, to as a testimony, right?
Right.
And so when somebody's past is scary to you, it's typically because they don't have a great process or can't explain a great process for why they're at where they're at.
That's really good.
Why their past is their past and is going to stay their past. And then you don't have real evidence that they've used it as a tool.
It's really good.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
So
yeah,
think about my past, right? I was in a relationship if you start even further back, I have my past with pornography,
right,
addiction to masturbation. Then I get married young. So I work through those. I get married young and I get into a divorce. Yeah. So when I meet Lauren, who's never had an addiction to pornography,
right,
never been married before, never had sex before, like I could be a pretty scary guy.
Totally.
Except for I'm able to go, hey, let me take you through my process. Let me share my process with you. Right. And I'm excited to. These were questions that I wanted her to ask.
Yeah.
And I had to hold back the pace because I could tell you, this is my process for dealing with this. This is my process for dealing with pornography. Here's where it came from in my life. And here's how long it's been.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at porn since I was 16.
Right.
And here's all the hard stuff I went through since then.
Right.
I'm tested. I'm a tested man. And then, yes, this is how I've weaponized my story. Okay. So the fact that I don't hide it, the fact that I'm able to share it, the fact that my family knows it, my community knows it, says that I'm not carrying a bunch of shame around about it.
Right.
Therefore, the chances that it affects you is very slim.
Right. Well,
it should actually be the opposite.
Right. I love what you said. Even you have explanation for something. I think that's huge because you realize, this person hasn't just decided not to look at porn again. They have a reason. They have a why. They know why they might have done that in the first place. They've really thought about whatever it was that they struggled with and how they overcame it versus somebody that just, I haven't done anything for a month. You're like, oh, okay. And how did you not do anything?
Yeah. Which person do you trust more? The person who has never done anything or the person who has done stuff and figured out what was the problem, got tools, and has now overcome?
It's a really good point.
So when we buy a product, right, you buy an iPhone,
right,
which we are not sponsored by iPhone, but man, if
we
were,
we could.
You buy an iPhone and you have a problem with your iPhone and it breaks. You call Apple and you say, hey, my phone broke. And they say, hey, let me help walk you through this and we'll get it fixed for you right away. They say that you're more loyal to that company than if you never had a problem with them at all.
Oh, interesting.
Because you know that you're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yep.
And inevitably, we know, because we know ourselves, we know that there's going to be problems in a relationship. We know that there's nobody that's going to have lived a perfect life. So what we're really wondering is, do you know how to clean up a mess?
Right.
Do you know how to take ownership? And if you can prove to me that you're a great owner, then I know you're going to be a great partner.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good. Taking ownership.
Massive.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So God being in their God spot, right, makes it so that they don't feel like they have to please you. I feel like it has everything to do with, I am not insecure because of who God is. When I am insecure, I'm going to God. I'm not going to my girlfriend.
Right.
So how much do couples violate their relationship? Kissing too much, sex, because of insecurity, right? Instead of going to God, instead of going to their community.
Well, it's an interesting point. Even you're like, well, when they're feeling anxious, did they go to God? When they're struggling with this, did they go to God? Which is interesting because I think also you could feel like, wait, why didn't you tell me you were struggling with something? When in fact, that's actually really healthy if you're not at a level in your relationship that they aren't coming to you with that thing that they're struggling with, but they're going to people that they know can be somebody that speaks into that, or going to God.
Yeah.
Right.
So and eventually you need to be able to disclose all.
Right.
But when Lauren and I were dating, this is probably like a month into it, holding hands, getting down, holding hands a special way. I took her up to Ashland, Oregon.
Oh yeah.
And we just had the best date. It was like this magical time. And I remember driving home, and I wanted her to say, gosh, I really like you, because I knew she wouldn't say I love you, but I wanted, and I started to feel really insecure. Like the more I liked her and the better dates we were having, the more I was like, oh, I don't want to lose her.
Yeah.
So I remember driving home being like, hey, right now, you're going to violate this relationship. You're going to push her too fast and get her to say, I really like you, Jay, when she's not ready. Don't do that. So I'm like in the car, I'm insecure. It's actually this insecure feeling, right? I'm driving home. I'm insecure where we're at. I want to be further along.
Yeah.
So I get home that night. The next morning we were going to hang out. I wake up. I'm like so insecure the next morning. I'm like, what if she leaves me? What if she finds another guy?
Yeah.
So I text her. I didn't text her and go like, hey, I'm feeling really insecure today.
Right.
Wondering if you could be my comfort. No way.
Right.
I texted her that morning and just said, hey, I need a little bit more time by myself. I'll message you when I'm ready to go. I spent 3 hours in bed with God. At first I started journaling. Like I was trying to get out this, I was trying to get rid of this insecurity.
Totally.
Right?
That's not going to be
because it's not her job to solve it.
Right.
It's mine. That didn't work. I went and I got my Bible out, was reading my Bible. That didn't work. I did 3 hours before finally I got connected to God.
Wow.
And was able to work through my insecurity, get to a place of security. Then I text her and was like, hey, ready to hang whenever you are.
Wow.
So that to me, like that's what I want her to do. Because in marriage, I'm not going to be everything for her.
Right.
I'm going to be the best husband, the best protector, provider, promoter for my family, but I'm still not God. Right. And I want her to know how to go to God.
Yeah.
And you want me to know how to go to God.
Totally.
And so those are those things like, man, it feels so good to be in a relationship and her be like, I just need you to comfort me right now.
Totally.
And there's a time for that. But you have to know that God's her ultimate source.
Totally.
It'll come up because of what you do and don't share in your past. It will come up, in those other ways that we talked about. So
it's really good. It's great.
Number 6.
Let's do it.
And listen, there's probably a lot more rungs to this ladder than what I'm even going to give you guys. So
these are the big keys.
Yeah, these are just some that we write down. So, and I'll move a little bit faster.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do we have needs and boundaries?
Oh yes.
Gosh,
let's talk about it.
If all you're getting is yeses, yes, I don't care, I don't mind, run.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Janie's
we think we're being so
gun.
nice.
Yeah. No way.
Right.
No freaking way. Because here's the problem. Without needs and without boundaries, there's no way to feel cared for.
Yep.
So eventually you'll get resentful. I'll get resentful. I'll have to be someone that I'm not. You'll have to be someone that you're not. And you won't really feel known, seen, understood, and valued.
Totally. And your yes is probably coming from fear.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Yep.
Yeah.
And perfect love casts out fear.
It's good.
So if you are living a fear-based relationship, there's not a lot of love in it.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good.
Yeah. It's true. Okay. Do we communicate well? A lot of people are so proud that they don't argue.
Oh, yes.
They're just so stoked. Never seen my parents argue.
We don't really argue.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, are you real?
Yeah.
Totally.
No, we love God. We don't argue.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's definitely personality types that
are more prone to that.
Yeah, are more prone and less prone.
Yeah.
Right? You ever met someone that just likes to argue? That's a hard person to be with.
That's rough.
Guys, freaking knock it off. You know what I mean?
Like you find something.
But then you ever meet someone that they don't have the ability to do conflict?
Well, and then you're like,
equally as damaging.
Gosh. Yeah. You feel like I'm going to just plow this person over.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you really real?
It's exactly what I was feeling too. I'm like, you know, those people and you're like, I don't feel like I can have a strong relationship. Like, I don't feel like it's going to be strong.
Yeah. And it's not. So do you know how to communicate well? You know, you can't tell somebody you're the one I want to be with unless you've gone through several challenging conflicts with them.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different person that you're talking to. The person in conflict is a totally different mode.
Yep.
And
in stress.
If they can do conflict really well, if you can come out of conflict feeling more connected, feeling more trust, feeling even not we agree, right? Because that's part of it. If you and I, as your father-in-law, if we get into a conflict, I'm not looking for you to agree with me.
Right.
And you should feel heard and you should feel understood and you should feel valued.
Right.
That's how you know, oh gosh, if you say, oh, Jay is the best, it's not because Jay's the best when we're at Hawaii.
Right.
It's because you feel like you can share whatever you need to. You can say, hey, this really hurt my feelings, even if it's not easy.
Yeah.
And you know, you're going to be honored.
Yeah.
You're going to be valued. You're going to get the benefit of that process. And I'm going to have an opinion.
Right. And we don't have to have the same opinion. Earth shattering. Yeah.
So does he know how to do a win-win?
Right.
Or is it always win-lose?
Oh, no, thanks. Yeah.
Can he value your opinion? Like these things are mind-blowingly massive.
Right.
How many couples get into a relationship and can't do conflict? Because here's the thing. Who taught you how to do conflict?
Yeah.
Like who gave you the skills? Like who went, here's your conflict tool bag.
No, I didn't get one.
So if you didn't learn, then man, most of the time when we get into conflict, it's like last ditch effort and we're like so pissed off. I finally say something. Right. Well, you never, it's like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, totally.
So conflict is something that I want to be able to, communication is something that I want to be able to navigate through. I want to be able to say, hey, these are my needs. Hey, these are my boundaries. Hey, you crossed my boundary. That hurt my feelings.
Right.
Hey, these are my emotions. So.
Right. I feel like too, for myself coming into dating Elijah, there was such a fear of conflict because I never saw conflict done well.
Yeah.
And I was so good at tiptoeing until I really had to say something.
Yeah.
And then still I would just be like, oh, I see your side of it.
Yeah.
Just kind of leave it. But I feel like people need to know, even if you haven't seen conflict done well, you have what it takes in you to do conflict really well.
Yeah. It's like, get some skills, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's for all of us.
Right.
It's, get the communication dance from Danny Silk. It's, there's so many different, get the boundaries book.
Right.
Townsend and Cloud. Skill up.
Yep.
So this is an example of where you may be in a dating relationship and you guys don't do this well. Every time you get in a conflict, you go away crying, he goes away mad.
Right.
It's like, okay, don't make a long-term commitment without solving this.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to go, you want to be able to have 2 or 3 more, 4 more conflicts and be like, okay, we're getting better.
Right.
You have to know that your guy, your man is willing to grow, adapt, and learn.
Right. It's so true. And it builds trust. If you know you can, if you can have a conflict and come back.
Yeah.
I remember it causing so much anxiety until I saw the rhythm.
That's true.
We can have a conflict and it's okay.
Yeah. And it's still not easy. I hate conflict.
Oh yeah. I mean, who enjoys it?
I'm just willing to do it, my dad.
I know.
Yeah. My dad's
I've heard him a few
give
times.
me a good conflict.
Oh, he loves it. He lives for it. I'm over here.
Gosh. Step 8. Are we going the same direction? Listen, love is not the only reason to get married. Love is one reason that we get married. A lot of people get stuck in going like, but I love her. And you're like, there's lots of people that you could love. Mm-hmm. If you're going in the opposite direction, man.
It has to be hard.
Yeah. He wants to be a politician. She wants to travel the world and be a missionary.
Yeah.
Unless you got some unique way that those two worlds work together.
It's going to be tricky.
You don't want someone's dream to die.
Right.
And that's what I told Lauren, like when we were deep into the relationship, I said, hey, listen, if your dreams aren't bigger for being with me, don't take this journey because I will find somebody that wants to go on my journey. That's also their journey.
Yeah. That fits.
Because there's only so far that I'm willing to flex.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so you could have everything great. And then, he wants to live in Redding forever. Doesn't want to move. And you're like, man, Redding feels like death.
That would be real tricky.
It's like, you're not going the same way.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you know, hypothetically, are at a bus station. She's on her way to China. He's on his way to Alaska. They get talking in the airport and he's like, oh, you know, there's probably some fishing in China. There's probably good people in China. I'll just get on the China. She's really cool. You do a little bit of time in China, you get married, you get committed, and you're like, but my whole entire life I was born to be in Alaska, hypothetically.
Yeah.
And then you're super bummed.
Takes a lot of courage to be honest.
It does.
Takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. So you might have to make sure that you're, you know, going the same direction. Can we build stability? So it's like this. Can he hold down a job? You know what I mean?
Like yeah.
Can she hold down a job? Like, can she day in and day out do what she says she's going to do? Does he do what he says he's going to do? Does he show up on time? Can he keep a calendar?
Yep.
Does he follow through well? Not is he perfect,
right?
But can he follow through? These are things that
it's his yes.
Yeah. Is he good with finances? Is he able to build a life that's sustainable? If he's not, don't marry him just yet. Wait, or if she's not, don't marry her just yet. Wait until you build stability in your relationship, then move forward.
Yep.
It's so much easier to solve it out here.
Yep.
Than to solve it inside a marriage. Like this myth that marriage makes everything easier.
Oh, Lord.
No. But at this point, like step 9, they're like, I just want to have sex. You're like, it's not that good.
Right.
It's good, but it's not good enough that you wish you were single.
Right.
And you wish that you would have, no way.
No.
Just chill.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is this a lot? No. Oh my word. There's so many steps to the ladder.
There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot. And in it, there should be.
Yeah.
You're talking about trying to answer questions to figure out, is this person somebody I really want to be with? You know, how do they deal with conflict? We already talked about that one. So step 10, you got to be able to handle conflict. Step 11, do they know how to care for me?
Yeah.
I see people skip this all the time.
This was huge. Okay. I don't know if this is like gift, like your love languages or whatever, but I will never forget being the absolute worst at gifts, because gifts if you know your love languages, it's like, you know, quality time, words of affirmation, etc. And gifts is my absolute last one. I don't ever think about it. And Elijah's is number 1.
He's like all gifts.
Oh my word. And so I didn't know he's dying inside because I'm not taking care of that part of his love language until having that conversation and being like, wow, I'm actually going to have to practice this muscle and get really good at this. And it was hard. I was insecure. So I'm like, I know that I'm not good at this.
It's so
but
true.
For you, I'll get good at it.
Yeah. So much. Okay. Do they understand me? That's another way to say this. If you don't feel understood, known, championed, pursued at this level in the relationship, he's probably never going to pursue you harder than he is right now.
Right.
And vice versa.
And a girl needs to feel that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like if he's not showing up, kicking butt, or she, if she's not able to be present, pay attention, make you feel special, make you feel known, like what's the incentive inside a marriage to do that?
Right. Not as much.
Not even as much. So you want to know that he can he can turn that thing on and keep it going.
Right.
12, unconditional love. Do they know how to do unconditional love? Are they trying to make you earn it all the time? Are they trying to make you perform for love? Are they performance based?
Right.
That's going to be tough.
They're really tough. Yeah.
And that creates a whole entire culture inside of your house that your kids will have to live with, right? Is like, I only get praised when I do good things. He beats himself up a ton when he's not successful.
Yeah.
You know, it shows up in a lot of different ways. Mostly it's going to be, again, back to, can they share their mistakes? Do they forgive themselves?
Yeah. How they talk to themselves. Yeah.
It's eventually going to be how they talk to you.
Right.
That's going to bleed over to you. And so, again, not a deal breaker, but you can't move past this one.
No.
Do they have friendships that end often?
Right.
Because when a friend makes a mistake, right?
They just can't deal with it.
They're gone. They're out.
Cut them out.
Oof.
That's scary.
Scary.
It is scary.
Yeah. Because you're going to be at a place where you feel like, I can't make a mistake around him.
Right.
But I really love him.
That's scary. Yeah. It's not safe.
Run away.
Right. Yeah.
Run
I'd tell her run.
Yeah.
Get out quick.
Run. Step 13, win-win. You know, Maxwell says this, like, in a relationship, relationships should be win-win or nothing at all. You can have a win-lose sometimes if it's agreed upon. So like sometimes in a relationship, I'll win. I'll be like, hey babe, this Christmas, can we do this thing? And she's like, it's not what I necessarily want to do, but this year let's do that, and next year let's do this, right? So it's like, oh, that's cool. Again, this is all about, is somebody caring for you? Does it always have to be Elijah's way? Does it always have to be my way? Does it always have to be the guy's way, you know, or the woman's way? Like, are they able to find the win-win in life with you? Yeah. If not, you might want to back off.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be a bummer to get all the way to 13. You know what I mean?
It would be such a bummer. Oh no.
Yeah. And then just step 14 is like, forever's not long enough. Like, you got to get to, when you're going to marry somebody, it's not even these crazy emotions and feelings that you're looking for.
No.
It's got to be like this deep emotional connection. You feel known, you feel cared for, you feel loved. They're willing to build with you. You want to build with them. You feel seen and known and understood. Your values line up. Your vision lines up. And you don't want to do life without them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make that choice forever. And if you make a choice for marriage based upon your feelings, you're going to be in trouble.
My goodness. Yeah, your feelings
people don't know that.
Shift and change, and
people don't know that.
My goodness. Yeah.
So people who say, I fell out of love.
Goodness.
Like, that's the biggest BS line ever, right? Because you didn't fall in love. Like, you didn't walk down the road and one day you're walking and you trip and you fell and you're like,
I really love her.
Wow.
Right.
No. And so that's one of the biggest misconceptions that we have, right?
Totally.
Is that there's a way to fall out of love. No. Like, that crazy emotion that you feel, oh, that's passion.
Yeah.
And passion comes from the exploration. It comes from the dreaming. It comes from the envisioning, right? Of this relationship. So you can have your relationship feel totally flat.
Right.
Feel like, I don't feel a lot.
Passion is gone. Yeah.
And be completely in love. I'm choosing 100%.
Love's a choice.
It's a choice. Now, if you want to be passionate in your relationship, you're going to have to put in the work.
Right.
You're going to have to share your emotions.
Yep.
Seek to understand. Listen well. Get to know them. Understand your normals, your rhythms of life. Really value the person. Take them out on dates.
Right.
Meet their love languages.
Right.
Be consistent.
Right.
So, forever isn't long enough is something that you guys build.
Yep. Yeah. It's really good.
Because here's the thing, guys, the girl that you're with isn't going to look like that 40 years from now.
Right.
And ladies, the guy that you're with is going to have a whole lot more hair on his body than he does today.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to look, his nose is going to keep growing. His ears keep growing. Okay. He's not going to look the same.
Yeah.
So you can't marry someone for what they look like.
Right.
You can start there. It's a great start, guys.
Right.
It's a great start, ladies. You can't marry someone for their outward appearance only.
No.
It's got a trajectory on it.
Right. Totally.
Which doesn't mean that you completely negate all of that.
No. Yeah.
Because you probably can't.
Right. But it doesn't withstand the test of
But
time.
gosh, if you, and I see guys make this mistake all the time, and girls, it's like that beauty is so compelling. Beauty's so compelling that we're willing to marry beauty, a shell of beauty.
Right.
Instead of like build a life of beauty.
It's profound. Well, I think too, we get stuck right here, right now. We can't actually think that far ahead. We're so consumed with what's happening right now, what's right in front of us. It's hard to imagine.
That's why I love the intentional relationship where you're not all over each other.
Yeah.
Making out and doing all that stuff so that you can really think.
Right. Your foundation isn't built on passion, but your foundation's been built on love the whole time.
Yeah. Communication, respect, honor. Then I get to the place where I know like, it's just not there.
Right.
Or like, man, imagine what this would be like if you put, full connection on top of this.
Right.
Like, well, that's someone I want to marry.
Yeah. It's so good.
It is good.
So good.
So,
just a few dating tips for you
this
guys
isn't the
today.
full package, but it's a great place to start, right? If you're in a relationship or if you're thinking about getting into a relationship, it's such a great place to start. Even for married couples, like you can look back and go, oh, here's some things that we skipped.
Miss a step.
Yeah. And be able to go back and just kind of wrap it up and build some trust in those areas, get some skill sets, get some tools.
Yeah, it's really good. Not all hope is lost.
Not all
if you
hope
missed
is
a
lost.
step.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Al, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
You're the best.
So fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's podcast. Man, next week's going to be a killer podcast. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Stay brave out there. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the BraveCo podcast. If you like this podcast, would you please rate it, review it, leave us a great comment, and